Please tell us a few words about your project in Balotești, Maple Place. Okay.
Okay, we're a group of Canadian and American investors that have been in real estate for the last 15 to 20 years, depends which ones of us. And we came to Romania about 2 years ago, actually right before the crisis started, and saw the great need still around for housing in Romania and specifically in the Bucharest area. We traditionally focus on suburbia. We don't build large 15, 20-story buildings. We've done them in the past. We today only do suburbia building. We also believe that's where there's always a greater value to the customer, moving out from the town, getting a larger house, getting a much better quality for their money. We were looking around the market and noticing that there is a real void in terms of quality housing outside. So we saw people building 250, 300-meter homes, monsters from a young family that's in their early years as a family, don't have the money to buy something that size, and people were buying just because that was what was on the market. And there was actually a vacancy for housing that would be affordable, yet would really meet the needs of what people want. So we saw also people building unfinished houses and selling them, which was for us something we couldn't fathom. It just, what type of product is that? How could you as a developer give something that's not finished? And coming from the US and Canada, we also know what a finished product is. So your kitchen includes also your fridge, your stove, your oven. That is a finished product, not just having the button in the toilet to flush. There are a few other things. So we created a product that actually does everything, including a complete kitchen, and the garden is done already, and furniture, and trying to give that as our added value, together with creating a type of a community and having the buyers meet each other in advance so they actually can see who their neighbors are going to be, which we also understood was a big concern of buyers. Who is going to be my next door neighbor? And especially in a duplex, you really want to know who your neighbor is. So that's what we're doing there. We started our marketing about 2 months ago. We finished our first unit. We're starting our next units. We're doing the infrastructure right now. We're taking it slowly as the market is, but we're still moving it along and making sure we're going to reach our timetables. Okay,
great. When do you expect the real estate market to release? How do you think this phenomenon will develop? The sellers will lower the price, and the buyers will become afraid that the market will grow again, and consequently they will accept the required prices.
Well, as I said, when we came in end of 2007, the prices were still at the prime, which were ridiculous. We were trying to figure out how somebody with the salaries here can afford to buy a house. And the answer was they couldn't, yet they still signed contracts and ran to buy thinking that, oh, my salary is going to jump 100% in 2 years anyway, so I have no problem. The market since then has definitely corrected itself, has gone down to prices that are realistic in terms of the numbers of salaries a family needs in order to buy a unit. They have pretty much reached the point where a little lower than this is already not something that the developer will go into, because we're in this to make money. We're not in this as philanthropists. Although we do care about our customers, want to make sure they're happy, but we're in this to make some money. So I think we've reached the point right now where any lower than this, from our point of view, we would not invest anymore. So I think the market has reached that bottom. On the other hand, we also see that the unstableness in the government and all that, what's going on in the politics right now in Romania, definitely has an impact on people not being able to make a decision because they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So we will wait and see what happens with the new government.
Okay. In a top made by Global Property Guide, Bucharest occupies the position 34 out of 98 capitals that were analyzed from the point of view of prices per square meter for an apartment of 120 square meters centrally located. Isn't that too much for the local purchasing power?
Oh, $3,000 a square meter is a crazy amount. I also think those numbers are historic. Like, they're probably taken from when the market was at its heat. Right now, I don't think you can find anything for €3,000. Everything is lower. So there was a correction, and I know these prices were even going for some old houses, old units. So prices have gone down. Bucharest should not be that high on the list. I think it still has a long way to go in terms of infrastructure. The systems are just not there yet. It's not a modern city yet. It still is quite backwards in many different things. Lack of infrastructure, of hospitals, of schools, of fire departments, ambulance services. Everything is still very sporadic, and there's one here and one there. There's no central thinking for a modern city. On the other hand, when you go right outside and you go out into Ilfov, you actually have an area which can be modeled according to modern suburbia. And that's basically something that has to be done by the Premier of Ilfov. He's got to take that as a responsibility to make sure that Ilfov doesn't turn into, if we can see what Pipera turned into, which is basically a big mess. You have single-family homes right beside a 15-story building, right beside where the sewage doesn't have the capacity, where the roads don't have the capacity. So all this has to be changed, and there has to be thinking of, okay, we have suburbia, what are we doing with it? And I think that most of the middle class is going to find itself moving out, like happened in most large cities, to Ilfov, which is it just makes sense. It's the ring around Bucharest, and that is where people will move out in order to get more quality for less money and to have more open space.